Hello and welcome back to my channel, everyone. So today I wanted to show you how I prep and soak off my nails. This process does take a while, as you can tell by the duration of the video, so I tried to include as much as possible and as many steps as possible, but lately I've really been or prefer using the Gel X dupe method, I guess as people call it, but excuse me, I love these BT Art Box tips. They're my favorite. I love the shape. I will continue to buy them. Like, they're just amazing, and they're very sturdy, and you don't have to do a lot of filing as long as you're applying your product really well. So of course I just go through and I size my tips out. I cannot think of my words today. Like, I always have so much stuff on my mind that I want to say, and then I forget by the time I want to say it. So I didn't soak off my previous set, and so I was like, well, I might as well just include that in today's video as well, because you can see as I get to the middle finger here that my previous tip is still on my finger part of it. I mostly filed them down and they just kind of peel right off, which is why I love the base coat I use, but I'll get into that a little bit later. And so here's my soaking bowl. I do have the little things that go over your fingers, and where you put the cotton pad on it, or you know, put a cotton ball in aluminum foil and wrap it. I've used that method as well, but I prefer my soaking bowl when I'm just doing my entire hand. So I go ahead and soak this for about, I'd say 15 to 20 minutes sometimes. And then now you'll see me, the white part that you see with the acetone, that is actually the tip that has melted in the acetone, which melts very beautifully, which is another reason why I love these tips, because they come off pretty easy. But I just scrape off that first layer because I didn't really file it down as much as I could have, I suppose. But eventually you'll see me turn the cuticle pusher over that I use. This is the only reason why I use this metal cuticle pusher. I have a nicer one that I use to actually push back my real cuticles, but this is really sturdy and it's just what I prefer. It can be a little bit painful trying to take off my own nails with this at times, because I have really thin nail beds, which is another reason why I prefer the full cover tip method. So it just helps strengthen my nail and stay on my nail a lot better than just using a regular nail tip. And once I get to the point where I can't scrape anymore and the other end of my cuticle pusher like stops, then that's when I know, like, okay, I can put it back in the bowl. But what that does is that helps lift up the tip a little more, so the next time that I go and I try to scrape off the product, it gets underneath that nail, that the plastic, and it can soak the base coat so that it will easily peel off my nail plate. And so my other two, my thumb and my index finger, didn't really have a lot of product on them. Like I mentioned, like I had already peeled some of it off. So I go in for my second soak for about another 10 minutes. And then you'll see that it just easily peels off now. Now that I had mostly taken most of the plastic nail off, the enhancement off, and I am ready for my next set. For some reason, I feel like prep videos are really boring, but people are usually curious and interested as to how you do things. And as boring as they can be, I mean, it's fine if you fall asleep during this video. So I wanted to show everyone this little file that I got off of Amazon. I don't have Tammy Taylor peel and stick money, but I do have, I call it Little Sil, but it's probably Lilsil is the brand. But it's very affordable, and it comes with these little refills that I also purchased. And I think these ones, the second ones that I showed you, it came with the file itself, so you really do get a good deal. They're very thin, so it's really easy to get into the small places instead of those big thick sponge files. So I really love this. And then you can just literally, like a sticker, peel off each side of your file, and then that's it. Like, you just put a new one on and stick it on there, and I'm the only person that uses it. But even if I had clients, all you'd have to do is sanitize the metal part. So really, really love this. It's came with 100 and 180 grit files, so which is perfect for polygel. You don't really need anything heavier than that, so or higher grit. Acrylic is a lot harder than polygel actually to file, so I understand why you might need a a lower grit file for that, but this 100 and 180 really works for me. So now that I have everything soaked off and everything filed and trimmed down my nails, I can go ahead and fit all of these tips to my nails. And so on size 3 or size 4 didn't really fit my ring finger, so I just filed down a size 3. I go with the bigger size and file it down, and it fit perfectly. These tips are square around the edge. They're not very round at all, but I either file them down if I want them to fit back towards my cuticle. In this case, I don't usually ever put my full coverage tips all the way back to my cuticle, which is why you'll also see why I don't file down as I push my cuticles back, because I do that process and file everything back. Like I mentioned, I just went in with my buffer, and when I blend in the tips to my natural nail with my e-file, that's when I go ahead and do the rest of my cuticle work and get my cuticles off of my natural nail before I go in with my primer. Even though I don't fully prep and buff the exposed part of my nail after I push back my cuticle initially, I do go in with the other side of my cuticle pusher and scrape all of that excess skin, or as much off as I can as possible, just in case my press-on goes back a little further than I intend or expect. And it'll still be easier to adhere and apply. So I fast forward through this part, and eventually we'll get into the prep here soon. So as always, I am going to be using my Nail Matrix Prep and Prime. I really love this stuff. My nails stay on for weeks and weeks and weeks unless I absolutely want to take them off, so highly recommend this. I'm waiting for some nail mail and some more nail goodies, so I am really excited about that today. They should be coming here soon, so I can't wait to share some new Nail Matrix stuff that I have. I purchased a lot of her products and they are very high quality, so yes, always highly recommend her stuff. Also, she's a small business, so if you want to shop small, keep that in mind. So here are, the first thing that I do is put primer inside my nail tips. I don't care if it's a non-acid primer or not. I never have any issues with my nails sticking using, even if it's not an acid primer. So I don't know. I don't etch the inside of my nails or do anything extra or special, so I like this method. It works for me. Like I mentioned, everything sticks, so it is what it is. And then I almost forgot to prime my own nails. I put the lid on and then I didn't even do it, but I always do this step ×2 when I put primer on. So dehydrate once and put primer on twice, and my nails are on for the long haul. So I'm going in with some Beetles nail glue and this Burano primer. This Burano primer is like a rubber base coat. It's really thick, and so I cure this stuff for 60 seconds after I have it all applied to my nail. I love both of these products because they do not yellow and they make sure that my nails are sticky like they're supposed to be, and so I can prep for, again, since I don't put my full cover tips all the way back to my cuticle, then it doesn't have to technically cover my full nail, because I am going to go in and file around my cuticle still when I blend in my full coverage tip. So I try to leave, I put my thumbnail on crooked, and I'll show you in my next video how I fix that when I do put them on crooked. You can see that it's kind of hard to keep the nail on, keep the air bubbles out, turn the lamp on, or whatever you're trying to do when you're doing this by yourself, and make sure that your full coverage tip is on straight. But I do the best I can. For the most part, I know that as long as the nail tip is going from sidewall to sidewall, and that pretty much indicates that the nail tip is on straight. So here's another tip for you guys as well. If I do have anything that comes out of the side of the nail, you can cure in your little lamp, doesn't matter, Kiara, Sky Beetles, whatever, for literally 2 to 5 seconds. I usually count to about 3 or 4, and then I pull my nail tip out. I take anything that has seeped out. It comes off and peels off easily off of the nail tip. Now this is using Beetles nail glue. I don't know about any other of these dupe methods, but and then I can easily peel off anything that has seeped out, like any of the glue, and then I cure it for the rest of the time. So again, I just put the nail on. If it seeps out, I cure it for about 2 to 5 seconds, pull it out, peel the glue off that may have got on my skin, or excuse me, around the edges, so I don't have to worry about filing it off later. And then I just continue to cure it and flash cure it. Continue to flash cure, because then after I have all of the nails applied, I go in and I do a full cure in my lamp. So I left part of this real time for you guys so you guys could see that process a couple of times. For me, that's what works. It's the easiest to keep my nails nice, but I have been doing it this way for so long that you do eventually get to a point where you learn how much glue to use, what works for you, what doesn't. And here are the nails. You can see that there's not a lot of excess glue all over the place, and how crooked my thumbnail is. It really bothers me now that I'm watching this back. It just bothers me. But anyway, this is my new nail drill. I've had a video sitting on deck for a long time, talking about my nail drill and doing a review about it, and I just haven't posted it. Like, I don't know what the deal is, but I've been using it for a few months now and I really love it. And I'm using a 180 sanding band, so I bought that box of sanding bands. They're really nice, they're really awesome. And I prefer sanding bands because you can just take them off and throw them away. You don't have to worry about sanitation and all that other stuff. So it goes forward, it goes reverse. You just hold the power button down and then you turn the little dial in the middle. And I just really love this little guy. So I'm going to get the cuticles. I'm going to get that exposed nail where I did not push my full cover tip all the way back. And so I'm also going to remove the shine from the full cover tip as well. I don't know why I can't, for some reason, like full cover is just isn't coming to me. But yeah, so remove any of the excess shine. So I'm just kind of keeping it in real time for the pinky, but I will eventually speed this part up. But I love this nail drill. Sanding bands help me get around the cuticle. I don't think you really need anything more harsh than that, because right now you're just working around the plastic. Like I'm also doing some cuticle work at the same time, so I don't want something that's going to just completely remove my natural nail either. So and it doesn't take much to blend down tips. We're not removing product, we're not doing finish filing, we're not doing anything like that. So this 180 sanding band they work great for me. At this point, I also want to take the time to mention that I really like using full coverage tips, not just because my natural nails are thin or naturally thin. When the tip peels off of the base coat, it doesn't take my whole nail with it. If it does lift, I hardly ever get lifting when I do, so that's another positive point about the full coverage tips. But I also really love the fact that it's kind of like training wheels for me. So they're usually like a very beautiful shape and they have a really nice apex, and your entire tip is secured to your nail and keeping that apex with that nail glue. I also never get burning. Like, I don't get that burning sensation when I use the Beetles nail glue. Some people say, they can feel burning or whatever, but using that primer before I put on the tip, like that works out for me every time. I don't get a lot of burning. It doesn't burn my natural nail, but I also don't file my natural nail a whole lot. I usually just use that buffer, and I still don't have any problems with things adhering. So I don't know what people are doing to get the burning sensation. I don't know what products they're using. This is just what works for me in my prep process, and it's easy on my natural nails. So that's why I do it this way. But I wanted to share with everyone again because, like I mentioned, some people are interested in the products that you use and things like that. Like, I know the Beetles nail glue you can purchase separately. You don't have to buy the entire kit every single time. I don't prefer their full coverage tips because the well is still a little bit too high because my natural nail beds are really flat. And I have a really low apex on my natural nails. So I just prefer these BT Art Box tips, and they work out perfect. I don't really think it matters what kind of tips or you use with your glue, but like I mentioned, this is just the process that I enjoy using. So, any comments or tips below, I would greatly appreciate it, but for me, this is just what works. So after I have everything smooth, sanded, filed, I just go in with a lint-free wipe and some rubbing alcohol, 70% isopropyl alcohol. And here's what my nails look like, completely finished and applied. And you can see my little apex from the side. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you have a great week.